Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. And today I have a card for you that is using the Timeless Tropical stamp set and dies. And I was given a challenge through one of the swaps that I participate in this month to do something in yellow and orange and green. And this is the card that I came up with, and I thought I would share it in a video with you. So let's just get started. Okay, here is our project for the day. I was challenged to use yellow and orange and green. And so I have started with a Whisper White base that is 8.5 by 5.5 scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then I have cut 2 pieces of soft foam that are 4 inches by 5 1/4. Now I've used the stone embossing folder from the sale abrasion items on this particular piece of foam, and this is the front side or the embossed side. This is the debossed side. I used the debossed side on my card here. And then using the Timeless Tropical, I use this flower, this leaf, and may your birthday be memorable. Then from the Timeless Tropical or Tropical Oasis Suite, I used the Tropical Oasis Designer Series paper, and I used this pattern, which is palm trees on a soft green background. So what I have cut there is a piece that is 4 inches by 3 inches, and then I used the yellow vellum. It's part of the Perennial Essence suite, and I used pumpkin pie to stamp out my flowers, and then I used the green vellum to stamp out my leaves. And I did this in pumpkin pie, and I did this in black. I tried doing this in a green and it just didn't show up. And what I will tell you is that it takes ink a really long time to dry on vellum. After an hour, mine still weren't dry. So you could either choose to do this on cardstock instead of the vellum, except I think the vellum is very pretty. I blotted those leaves that had extra ink on them with just a piece of scratch paper, and then I used my heat tool to dry all of my pieces. And so the other thing is I stamped a few more and then left them overnight, and they were just fine. They were nice and done. So I have cut out a couple of those. Here is my flower, my large flower, and here are a couple of those leaves, and here is the small flower. And on the inside of this, I stamped the small flower again in pumpkin pie, and then I used one of our iridescent sequins on it, the one that's got kind of picks up both the yellow and the orange, I think. And so then in the die set, there are flowers cut out for the very large flower. There's a cutout for the leaf. Then there were these other little leaf cutouts. There's one. There's, I think, 4 different ones. And this, and this, and this one. Now I'm going to bring these up so you can see them a little closer to the camera. And there's a die also for the little flower. I actually found the leaves almost easier to just fussy cut out. You will remember I have very little patience. There we go. So those are the little leaves, and this is what they cut out. So I cut some of them out on some more of that pattern paper. I cut some out on just old olive paper, and I cut out others of them. I cut out a bunch of them on that little piece of pattern paper there, and then there's this one, which is that, and I used various different ones on my cards for my swaps. In any case, I loved how these came out, and you can cut 4 of them at a time, and I found if you use the designer series paper, you can really cut 2 layers of paper at once. And so cutting 4 out of the designer series paper gave me 8 little leaves. That made card making in a bunch of things here a lot faster. So let me set these dies aside so I don't lose track of them. This also had this little die in it that cuts out 3 little flowers. Now they didn't work for this, but for other projects they would be just a lot of great fun, and you can cut 3 different ones at a time. I love things that do multiple things at once for us. Then I have a piece of Grapefruit Grove that is 1.5 inches by 4 inches, and then I had another piece of scrap of Grapefruit Grove, and I did my my stamping of my sentiment on here, and then I used this, which I think is the Everyday Label Punch, and I'll put it in the video for you for sure, and cut out this sentiment here. Then I used the yellow ruched ribbon and made some bows, and I used a couple of gems that we have. I used the champagne gold on the small flower, and I used one of our faceted gold gems on the large flower. So let me show you how this comes together. So the very first thing we're going to do is, because this is an embossed piece, we're going to use lots of glue on the back of this embossed piece. And the flowers and some of the leaves are raised, so there's no reason to raise this. This just goes right on my panel here. And I did start this video more than once, so I have 1 or 2 things done. So there is that one with just that simple little flower stamped on it with the sequin. And that is all ready to go inside my card. And so we'll set that on the inside of the card. And it's really very simple stamping, just putting that little piece. Now you could add more sentiments and do more things on there. And then I built my little scene. So I used my piece, and on this one the only thing you need to do, and I've done it, ask me how I know, is make sure that your palm trees are right side up. If you're going to do something like this, it pays to, when you're using directional paper, to make sure that when you get, I work in an assembly line process, and so I try to get all of my papers going the same direction so that I pick them up the right way to start with. And one of them was in there upside down, got me good and fooled. Easy enough to fix, but if you're in a hurry, then that just takes up extra time. Okay, so now I can build my flower. This one I've already put 1 dimensional on the back in the center, and you can see it a little bit, but by the time we get done with all of this, you don't see much. Now, there's my little one, the same thing, 1 small dimensional on the small flower, and put this right next to this here. Now then, on the leaves, what I did was I used a small dimensional on one of the leaves right down here at the base, where basically you won't be able to see it. And I tucked it underneath these two leaves right here. So now the dimensional is there, but you really don't see it because it is the junction where all three of these pieces meet. So there's that. Then we can take one of these leaves that I cut, and on this leaf all I really did was add a little bit of snail to the back side of it and slide it under here and attach it to the top of this other leaf and let it extend fine. I'm fine with these being loose. I think it adds great dimension and fun to the card. Now, I took one of these smaller leaves, grabbed this one, and put some snail on the back of it and had it poking out behind that flower. Then on this one, I put a little bit of snail at the base of that leaf and then tucked it right under here. And you can see it a little bit through the vellum flower, but I don't think that's bad at all. All right, now then, while this is still in this shape and flat, I'm going to add my snail, and then I'll just put that down on my silicone mat so it doesn't stick to anything I don't want it to. Then I'm going to pick up one of these gems. Now this isn't botanically correct on this, but that wasn't what I was worried about. And now you can't see that dimensional at all. And then I used one of the medium-sized gems on the small flower, and again, it just goes away and looks like it's part of the stamp. Now, I've got my pieces all ready to go here, and I'm going to put that on my card front just slightly above center. And get that put into place there. There we go. And then I have my sentiments that I already stamped and cut out. And then I put a couple of dimensionals on the back of this sentiment and put that into place right down here. A little offset, but I wanted everything kind of more in the middle of this. And then I have my ribbon here, and I'm going to tie a small yellow bow, and we'll see if we can't get that put into place here. I think like that will do. And I'm going to just cut off a little bit of a tail there, and then I'm going to put this on a dimensional here and put that little flower right there between the flowers and my sentiment, and there we have our project for the day. A very simple and easy card. The trickiest part of this card is stamping on your vellum and getting it to dry. And like I said, I don't have a tremendous amount of patience, although I did stamp some and let them sit overnight, and then they were good and dry. But the others I just blotted and then used my heat tool and dried those. And that is my project. I'm so pleased with the way this came out. This is the first time I've tackled this timeless tropical card, and I just love the way it came out. So there you have it. I want to take a minute and talk a little bit, and I'm going to come on and do a special video about my online card classes coming up in March and April. I have them on my blog. www.inkingenuity.com, and there's a tab for online card classes, and I explained that there's going to be a couple of different kinds of card classes online. One where you buy it's product based, so you buy the stamp set and the die set is one option, and it's just pass-through cost from me. And then the class is $40, and for that you make 8 cards, and you get everything you need plus. On the first one, we're using the Forever Blossoms stamp set, and you're going to get a half a package of paper and a half a package of rhinestones and a half a package of ribbon. And so you can go on with the material. Product package from me will allow you to make tons more stuff. Then you'll get everything you need to make 8 cards. You get a private video, you get a PDF, you get 4 exclusive designs. Those designs won't appear on one of these videos. And so there's a lot to be said for the card class and the uniqueness of it. And then I went ahead and put up my April class as well, because that one is a technique class. So that class is $45 to start with, and you get $35 of product with it. I'm going to send you a package of sprinkles and the color sprinkles and some watercolor paper. And so the classes will vary. Some of them will be a lot more expensive if you are buying the products from me as well. The classes themselves are around $40. And in the case of the one in April, if you already have the sprinkles, then just get the video and it's $10. So there will be others that you'll buy a stamp set, and so it'll be kind of mid-priced. So there's all different kinds of things going on with that, and the details are all listed on my website there. And if you have questions, just let me know. So that's it for me. The prize draw for February is the Honeybee bundle, and out of the mini catalog. And let's see, I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye.